Have you ever driven through one of America's largest metropolitan areas? It sucks. It really does. It feels like there's construction, terrible interchanges, and traffic jams pretty much everywhere. I grew up in Wisconsin, so we'd have to go through Chicago any time we traveled east, and it was terrible. In fact, a few days ago, I made the decision to go over 100 miles out of the way just to avoid it. Ah, sweet 4 lanes of traffic and no trees. Anyway, these large cities are known for bottlenecks, a situation where lots of traffic has to go through one small corridor. We've coined this shape for it, and it's something we found all over American highways. Last video, we went over places like JBLM in Washington, Broadway Curve in Arizona, and so many more. But today we're going to go through some real deep cuts. You're going to get the fun stuff this time. Before this video starts though, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We make geography content like this every single week, and it's much appreciated with my motivation and overall channel growth. Thank you. There's a few reasons you might see highway bottlenecks. In an example like I-95 in downtown Providence, we might see our little shape right here a bit, but the main problem is that I-195 and I-95 come together, and now there's just one highway rounding the downtown region. I-95 already carries a ton of cross-country traffic, and voila, you have a bottleneck. For this video, we have 8 examples, and since it's March Madness right now, the best event in sports, like this video if you have Gonzaga in the Final Four, we're turning our examples into a tournament, with whichever one getting mentioned in the comments more, moving to the next round. With that being said, let's get into the first one. Our 1 seed is I-294 in Chicago, Illinois, touted as one of the worst 2 freight bottlenecks in the nation. The city of Chicago has the most freight traffic, that being semi-trucks, in the nation. It's centrally located in the country and ends up working as a checkpoint between massive cities of the East Coast and the vast western regions. We see the same thing on a different level in Kansas City, but Chicago has one other great problem, that being a fat old lake to the east. This means a few pretty crappy things for traffic. First, it forces basically all traffic from the north through the city. This entire region basically needs to pass through Chicago to access anything in the east. As I said with my situation, besides the random option to take a ferry from Manitowoc to Ludington, there just isn't another easy way to go around Chicago to the north. So we get forced onto I-294, the half beltway that passes around the city to the west and to the south. This all culminates at the Hillside Strangler, where I-290, I-88, and I-294 all meet at this triangular interchange. There's even a point that I find funny where I-290 and 294 are just traveling directly next to each other. If this isn't American beauty at its best, I don't know what is. The interchange is currently known for its ongoing construction, and it was already known on its own as one of the worst bottlenecks, so that just makes it worse. Finally, it's an interchange that just has people living in the middle of it. The entire thing is crazy. Mention Chicago in the comments to vote for it. Next up, we have the 4 seed in the east, which is I-24 west of Chattanooga. This is a city that deals with the mountains, which accentuates traffic a ton since you just only have so many places you can build them. In this case, there's a line of large mountains to the west of the city. There's only 3 real routes out of the downtown in that direction. That being State Route 27, US 41, and Interstate 24. 2 of them are winding 2-lane roads, and this one's called Suck Creek Road, so most people just decide to take I-24. Furthermore, it meets I-59 here, which creates our bottleneck shape, and that just shows that basically all of the traffic from the west has to travel on this road, which is just 4 lanes most of the time. Mention Chattanooga to vote for this one. Next matchup, we have our 2 seed I-75 and 85 in downtown Atlanta, an iconic bottleneck. Traffic is nearly always at its worst in the downtown region, we can agree on that. So whose genius idea was it for I-85, I-75, and I-20 to all meet right in the downtown and create this small region where there is way too much traffic on one small area? The worst aspect of this is I-75 and I-85 merging in the north. The average daily traffic here is 231,000, here it's 36,000, and here it's 373,000, an absurd amount. Furthermore, this small region is known for having far too many exits. You see constant stringy ramps all the way up. There's pretty much nowhere where there's just the 2 directions of traffic with nothing else. I'm pretty sure if you're a truck driver, you know this stretch of roadway, and you also know there's not an easy way to avoid it, since the Beltway is just as unenjoyable to drive on, with its own problems. Mention Atlanta in the comments to vote for this one. Now we jump to our 3 seed. This is a really nice, easy, straightforward one, which is the I-24, I-440, and I-40 area in Nashville. This is another city that is infrastructurally Sunbelt-esque with a ton of traffic everywhere. Just east of the downtown, the I-40 interchange and I-440 interchange with I-24 are just placed a bit too close to each other, creating our beautiful bottleneck shape. Traffic traveling in this region through the city all passes through here, and it feels the effects on the airport a couple miles from here. So the average daily traffic is 123,000 on that stretch. Mention Nashville in the comments to vote for this one. To the west side of our bracket, I'm going back to our beloved Phoenix, Arizona. Not in the city this time, but south of the city, with I-10 between Tucson and Casa Grande. Phoenix has a metro population of 4.9 million and is growing. Tucson has a metro population of 1.08 million. For all intensive purposes, there is one singular highway connecting them, and that's I-10. If you're following along and you have a brain, 6 million people connected by one road usually doesn't work very well. Here's a bottleneck shape to prove myself, but I-8 meets I-10 here, and that also provides connections from San Diego. But at least Arizona was gracious enough to build 3 lanes on either side, so maybe we're making too big of a deal out of it. But it's just not a fun place to drive, especially with the 75-mile-per-hour speed limit. You can use Arizona to vote for it. Our 4 seed is an absolute wild card that I felt like I needed to mention. Maybe it's got a Cinderella run in it. But it's the TransCanada Highway in Ontario, and it's a major freight choke point for the entire nation. You know Canada, right? Well, the country is nearly infrastructurally split in 2. There's one singular route connecting the east to the west, and it's the TransCanada Highway between Thunder Bay and Nipigon, a route with just 2 lanes at points. Now, sure, the traffic may not be as significant out there, but there are so many situations where you are trying to transport goods from one side to the other, and you have to take this route. Furthermore, Thunder Bay is a fairly large metropolitan area, and you can't tell me a lot of people don't take this only highway going northeast. You can mention Canada in your comment to vote for this. The last matchup starts with the 2 seed, which is I-405 over Sepulveda Pass in Los Angeles. I-405 is known for having some of the worst traffic of any freeway in the country, with hundreds of thousands of drivers along its entire stretch. But its worst portion is this bottleneck here, which goes over the mountains. This connects the valley to the west side. In other words, a lot of people to a lot of people. This is one of just 2 freeway connections over these mountains, so a ton of people use it, which leads to it being jammed up from the early morning sometimes into the middle of the night. Not to mention 2 large interchanges on either side with I-10 and I-101. You'd think California is using base 2. That's a math reference for my brother if he ever watched my videos. Anyway, mention Los Angeles in the comments to vote for this one. Finally, the 3 seed is also in California, this time a bit farther up, with I-80 between Fairfield and Sacramento. This is another situation where we see 2 connecting metropolitan areas, this time Sacramento and San Francisco, focused mainly on one road. This area is the San Joaquin-Sacramento River Delta, so there isn't much development and it's difficult to build roads. So I-80 was the only main one between the 2, and it's at just 6 lanes, so things get a bit rough sometimes. You also have Davis right here, an important college town, set right in between the 2 main cities. And the final thing I'll highlight is that it will always end up with traffic when you have a large urban cutoff point right here, with one highway coming out of it from just 4 miles from the downtown. You can comment Sacramento to vote for this one. But that's it, and you see our bracket right here. All of these traffic bottlenecks simply highlight what we see in cities across America, with geographic differences everywhere. It's impossible to design a perfect city. That's something you have to remember with our country. So cut the planners a little bit of slack. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much to the members this week. Here's all of them on the side of the screen. I really appreciate all of you. You have been continuously helping the channel for years now. If you want to become a member, the link is down in the description below. As I say over and over again, all this money goes straight into my savings. I'm now saving up for a wedding. So if you want to help me out with that, this is the best way to do it. I really appreciate it. Thank you.